Well, either you're closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you are not aware of the caliber of disaster.
Hello.
The Emperor has been expecting you.
You're gonna get your mind right.
Warning. Common sense incoming.
Alive. It's alive!
Warning, this contains explicit material suitable for children.
Great heavens! What kind of radio show is this?
This is the Blab.
Happy talk, keep talking happy talk. Talk about things you like to do. You gotta have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true?
By way of introducing, and thanks to all the people who write in on a regular basis and say, hey, how come you guys don't do more upbeat stuff? Well, here it is. It's happy talk time on the show today, and now just shut the hell up about it. Coming up on the show, when should a man be rewarded for stepping up and being a woman? Speaking of women, Lindsey Graham and his big... Yeah, put a pin in that. Hold it for a second. If I were the father of the bride, I would stiff the idiot country club owner who hijacked the reception to whine his now very tiresome whine. You can bet whatever you can lay your hands on that Dave's a pro at all times, and he comes fully prepared to each episode and has today, we're sure, something exciting and dynamic to dislike about Kamala. And are you passionate about the Second Amendment? Well, we know 6 kids in North Carolina we'd like to watch you explain that to. All of that, and you got to know it ain't going to end there, because kick the tires and light the fires. You know what? We're just 2 guys talking. You want to get the Kamala thing out of the way first?
You know what it is, don't you?
I don't, but I'm just, I'm always sure.
You honestly can't say you don't know what that is.
No, I can, because there's such a wide array and assortment of possibilities, and I don't ever assume that, that would be rude of me to presume that you're going to say whatever you're going to say until you say it.
Let's file this one under, these people really have no fucking soul.
That's kind of generic. You want to narrow that down?
This week, Vice President Kamala, however you want to say it.
It's Kamala with a la.
Harris, and former President Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Held a webcast discussion about empowering women and girls.
Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, can you eat
Marcy Gross?
Hey, I mean, you lean to the left. Can you even believe that bullshit?
Well, don't start asking me what I can believe or what I can. Anything's possible.
Apparently, Harris, started off by saying it was a true honor to join Bill Clinton in this discussion on empowering women and girls.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, I mean, I love how Me Too is just a prop that they bring out when a Republican does something wrong. I
want it noted for the record that I'm taking the high road to this point. I'm not going to do you what you do me, and I'm not going to throw the they all do it argument back at you. Okay, because I'm not.
Well, most do it. I'm going to throw it at you.
Well, I just meant not that specifically, but I just meant using things for their own purposes.
Right.
There was a little back and forth with a friend of mine on Facebook this week, and they were talking about what the hell was it? Because I commented on it. Because I don't usually get engaged in other people's comment threads, but unless something just makes me go, But they were talking about, I wish I could remember what it was. It was something about moral high ground. And they were talking about, well, they shouldn't do this and they shouldn't do that because they need to take the moral high ground. And I said, you know what? And I just threw in my 2 cents. I said they, and it was the right wing of some sort, or Republicans or some sort. And I said it was. No, the moment that they chose to celebrate, endorse, and elect a self-admitted pussy grabber president of the United States, the moral argument is a balloon that goes, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that the Republicans are moral. I just can't believe this. I'm going to say bitch. This bitch that's our vice president She actually accused Joe Biden of sexual misconduct conduct when she was on the campaign trail.
Yeah, but that was politics.
That's politics.
That's
and
politics.
she said believe all women.
Yeah.
But then she's going to sit down with and if Trump's a pussy grabber, he's an amateur pussy grabber compared to Bill. I think we all are amateur pussy grabbers compared to Bill.
My toupee's off to the guy.
Yes.
I mean,
I just don't know how she can sit down there and be so calm and so righteous.
let me
it's
split
obnoxious.
this hair with you real quick.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, but what I'm going to say is going to sound outwardly condescending, but I don't mean it that way. Condescending means I'm speaking down to you. I had well, you may remember here locally in the area, there was a Spanish-speaking radio station, La Xetosa, and it was in the same radio cluster where I used to work at the talk station, and they had the music station and all that. And when I was doing morning radio over there, the program director / morning host of the Spanish station, wonderful guy named Rafael Ortega, proud gentleman, excellent broadcaster, just a good guy, middle-aged, very veteran broadcaster. Because we were doing morning radio, we would come in and be there together 4:45, 5 in the morning. We're the only ones in the building. And about 3 mornings out of 5, for whatever the reason would be, Raphael would be, I could hear him storming up and down the hallway with paper in his hand because he'd gotten some memo or something. I got to go doing the Ricky Ricardo thing, going up and down swearing in Spanish, and I'd say, "What's the matter, dude? How you doing? What's going on? Good morning." He's all, and it was some memo from the radio owning company of some stupid thing they wanted done, and he would say something along the lines of, very similar to, and repeatedly, "They got this stupid thing where they want to." I just don't get. I don't understand how they could. And I don't understand how they could. I would sit there very calmly and let him have his moment because I knew he was pissed off. And then I would say, and it became like a routine with us, who's on first? I'd say, Rafael, amigo. I said, let me offer you this. And I'm just going to tell you something you already know, just to help you work through this. You're not technically correct with what you're saying. You're saying you don't understand. You do understand. You're an intelligent man. You're reading this and you're going, this is some serious, stupid fucking shit. To say you can't understand it is to demean your ability to comprehend, and you do comprehend. Yes. What you're having trouble with is you're having trouble wrapping your head around the fact that anybody could be that and then pick a number. Right. Arrogant, stupid, hypocritical.
Yeah.
Run the list.
You're right. Yeah, I just that just set me off. I was like, oh my God.
Well, get used to it because that's, first of all, that's politics, period. But now we're in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Because whatever so many of the old barriers, lines, there's a line you don't cross, that ain't happening anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, if you want, that would be a fun challenge. If you find one, and not just now, next week or from now on, for the foreseeable future, as long as we do this, if you find one each week and come in here and go, check it out. Somebody had the opportunity to go right past that line, and they actually stopped. That could be a whole fucking segment.
Yeah, that could be.
It'll be rare. That'll be the rare sighting of that going on.
And
go ahead.
Oh, I was going. And speaking of that, Republican, he's a Florida congressman, Matt Gaetz. Yeah. Did you see where he's being investigated?
Yeah, he's in my list.
Oh well, did you see? Did you happen to see Tucker Carlson last night?
You know better than that,
dude. I wish you would have watched it. Look for the clip. Tucker had him on, and Matt started ranting and raving about being set up, and
probably
and the Justice Department has audio tapes of people trying to bribe his family with money about this sexual misconduct. Blah blah. It just went on and on and on. Mm-hmm. When Matt gets left, they went to commercial. Tucker Carlson comes back on, and he goes, "Well, that was the strangest interview I've ever had."
Which is saying a lot.
And I was like, wow. Yeah, it was bizarre. It was like Bizarro World.
And the irony, see, not only is hypocrisy in prolific abundance these days, it's big word day here on the Blab, irony is screamingly alive as well, because Carlson's behavior as a broadcaster over the last several years. And you've heard me say this before. There was a time when I watched this guy, and I always knew that he was on the other side of the fence, but I don't have any problem with people who are on the other side of the fence. If they don't piss on my leg and then tell me it's raining and then get outraged when I have the balls to say it's pissing, it's piss. But, and you've heard me also say, I don't watch him anymore. I lost whatever respect I had for the guy. I lost it because he turned into Tucker Carlson, the all-knowing smartass who just, he doesn't deliver. So he's part of the problem. He's part of contributing to that climate of there are no rules, there is no truth. There's the alternate truth, which basically is a euphemism for my bullshit, and you have to accept it. And this will lead us back to Do Re Mi Da Donald. So, yeah, Matt Getz is a perfect example. My example of what we're talking about, and that thing was the note I made here, was, and I mentioned Lindsey Graham in the intro. You hear his little speech about his AR-15 and how if the gang comes into his neighborhood, they're not going to come to his house because they know that I've got an AR-15 and I take them out, and all the rest of that. And I'm like, I'm going to do Chandler Bing for a second. Can this guy be any more pathetic?
I don't think
he's a sad little sack of shit guy.
I would actually like to see a AR-15 wielding Lindsey Graham in the streets facing gangbangers.
Yeah. First of all, if you put it on its butt end and put it next to him, it's 3 inches longer than he is tall.
Oh, that would be awesome.
But this is the climate.
Yeah.
And the problem, under the problem in the problem, is now it's a new problem. The political crap like this goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And if you do your fun history stuff, I just finished watching the 5-part or 6-part or whatever it was Lincoln thing on CNN, the series that Sterling Brown narrated. During the Civil War or during Lincoln's time, these kinds of dirty politics, stretching, blah, blah. All that's changed is that technology advanced, social media, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing new. But well, that's not true. There is one thing new. And the new is that the lines, if they exist at all, are so flexible or so non-sturdy that I still have my butt still puckered shut with the thoughts of the voice of Kellyanne Conway in my head. There's an oldie but goodie. Back in the beginning of the Trump administration with this alternate truth bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, that may be your facts, but that's not my facts.
Unfortunately, facts are facts.
No, it's not unfortunately. It's fortunately.
Well, no. I mean, the way that people treat that it's facts are facts.
So we got to find out. We really do, and I mean by we collectively. I don't mean just you and me. I mean Americans, people all over the world for that matter, have got to find a way to reject this.
Yes.
Stop telling me it's a fucking chair. It's a '57 Chevy. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. And this business of you have a right to your opinion, yeah, that's a philosophical statement.
Right.
Not it's a chair.
You have a right to your facts. Well, that leads me to another thing that drove me fucking insane, dude. I'm off the rails this week, dude. Did you see the
Dave's in pain too. He hurt his ankle, and so he's going to be. You have to take a measure. No, it's okay. I had my second shot, and I feel like shit. So we're on an even keel. But go ahead.
You saw the story about Mohammed Anwar? He was like the Uber Eats driver that the two teenage girls,
13 and 15.
Yeah, right. Well, I tuned in to CNN. They were calling it an accident. Their exact words were accident. They tweeted accident. So I turned on Fox.
After a while, or at the time it occurred?
At the time it occurred.
Okay.
I turned on Fox, the 5. I popped onto the 5 just to see the 5. Mm-hmm. Juan Williams said, these are just two girls. They were out trying to go for a joyride, and it went terribly wrong. Now, I was like, what kind of a world are we living in where your news stations...
What do you take from that?
Well, they're spinning. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why they're spinning. Was it...
I don't either. I'm asking you, what is your spidey sense, your own intellect, what does it tell you? What is it saying to you as a viewer, as a citizen, about what they're saying and why they're presenting it that way? Without trying to... it's not a pop quiz. I don't have an answer. I'm saying...
I don't have an answer either. I don't know why they're portraying things I mean, it's a homicide. It's a fucking homicide. They used a stun gun.
Yeah.
Do you take a stun gun when you go joyriding on Sunday, Scott?
Well, my ex-wife got custody of the stun gun. I don't like talking about it.
But yeah, I mean, and I believe Jesse Waters said, yeah, most 13 and 15-year-old girls don't take a stun gun when they go joyriding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is, if nothing else, this illustrates the point I'm making. The lines, okay, are changing, if not disappearing. Another case in point. And it ties in with guns since we're talking about that. You know the story about the wife that got killed in the shooting, the road rage shooting in North Carolina?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. Did you read the details?
I didn't delve into the details now.
She's 44. She was 44. Her husband 44, 45 years old. They were on their way to Hilton Head to celebrate their 10th or 12th or 15th anniversary. Got 6 kids. Driving in the car. He inadvertently, coming onto the interstate or whatever, inadvertently pushed a guy who had to go off on the shoulder because he didn't see him. And the husband said, I went, oh gosh, and I got out of the way as soon as I could so he could get back up on the road. And he did, and the guy got back up on the road, and they got on the interstate, and this guy comes up alongside them on the passenger side, starts shooting. Put how many ever rounds in the door of the car. His wife screams out his name, and he says, are you hit? And she says, yes, and he pulls off to the side of the road, and she's dead. Now, evil, meanness, run the list of sins. They've been around forever. What's different now is that I think that, and it's tempting to totally politicize something like that, and I wouldn't do that because that insults intelligence too. But you can't take completely out of the equation the fact that we now live in a country, America 2021 is a country that has been, over a period of years, and especially the last 5 or 6 years, a country where people feel qualified, entitled. If you fuck with me, fuck you. If you don't do this, go ahead and burn this down. I want what I want.
You're right. You're right.
You know,
I mean, look no further than Portland or those areas. You know what I mean?
and it is incumbent, and this is a favorite rant of mine, and you know this, and I'm down on the whole Trumpism business because Trumpism continues, and it always did, it continues to endorse that behavior instead of, you know, if you can't fix something like that, at least don't make it any worse.
Right. Right.
And they don't fucking care.
Well, and dude, this I mean, Trump's very guilty of that. But I know you're agreeing with me, but I'm saying that's the climate that we're living in today. Where
Okay, so now what?
Archie Bunker. No, you remember how he was his plan to get rid of skyjackings?
No, I don't.
Pass out handguns at the beginning of the flight.
Sure.
And then collect them at the end of the flight.
Sure.
Therefore, you can't. Everybody's on an even plane. Arm everybody and just let us fight it out.
No pun intended. Speaking of this, and this was another thing, I just random thoughts I had when we were talking about the gun thing. To see this North Carolina killing, it's
senseless. It's
senseless killing has been around since day one of year one, but this is different. This is different in the sense that it wasn't like they had an altercation. It wasn't like the guy looked over his shoulder and realized that he'd shoved the other guy off, and then when the other guy came back up, the guy went, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It was a middle class young couple. You know, you and I have done exactly the same thing at some point in our lives that this guy did by inadvertently moving into a lane when somebody was there.
Right.
Okay, and then there's crazy people in there. No, yeah. Okay, but there's more of it.
Was he like the handgun that he used? Was he like a concealed carry, like a permit guy?
Oh, they haven't caught the guy yet.
Oh, they haven't caught the guy
No.
yet. Oh, shit.
He was on the move. There's like now I'm sure it's up to $100,000 reward to find this guy.
Right.
It's the attitude. It's the climate. It's somebody said, this is kind of a non sequitur, but it made me laugh because it's dark humor, no pun intended. it said Georgia intends to amend the voting law down there now to allow people in line to get water from fire hoses.
That's pretty good.
A little reference to the civil rights struggles back in the 1960s.
I like that one.
And as far as your buddy from Florida there, Mr. Matt Getz, being investigated for sex with a 14-year-old girl, all I said was that what they ought to do is they ought to, right off the bat, whether he's guilty or not, he's an asshole. They ought to give him, they ought to make him take care of Biden's dog Major for a couple of months. And if you haven't heard that story, that dog, the 2 dogs were sent back to Wilmington because they were doing a little nipping, a little chomping, and apparently Major did a little chomping in Wilmington. So now they're taking a look at the lad and what they're going to have to do about it.
Major needs to go to that mythical farm that they send the bad dogs to.
The one with the daisies on
The
the
one with the
hill.
daisies.
Did you ever watch The Sopranos?
Yes.
Do you remember, and I'm not spoiler alerting because it's been around forever, do you remember toward the end of the series, the episode where Janice, his sister, finally got tired of getting smacked around by her husband Richie, and she blew him away at the dining room table?
Yeah.
And then he's laying there dead as the doornail, and Tony comes over and gets the cleanup guys to come and clean up, and then she has to leave town, so they're at the bus station because she's going to get on the bus and go wherever the hell she's going. And they're standing there. And James Gandolfini was priceless in that role. That's long ago known. But they're standing there, and she goes, well, what did you do with him? And he goes, Janice, we don't need to talk about that. Just let it go. Just get on the bus and go. I just want to know, did you find a nice place to put him? And he goes with a perfectly straight face, but that expression that says, you fucking muska. He goes, yeah, we found a little hill overlooking a stream where we bet. And she's like, oh. And he goes, get on a fucking bus. We chopped him up in the back of Satriali's meat market and spread it into the dumpster.
There you go.
Speaking of dumpsters, and I'm going to do 30 seconds on this.
Sure.
If you want to talk about it, that's fine. I'll sit and listen. But other than that, I got nothing to say. Donald needs to get a fucking hobby. Macrame, play video games, do something. I referenced in the introduction the country club owner. He shows up, he crashes this wedding reception at Mar-a-Lago. He's dressed in a tux, so it's not like he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He's been known through the years to do that, and especially once he became 45, to just show up at these things because it's instant adulation. It's like a circle jerk that goes on for hours.
I actually read that the parents asked him to say a few words about the bridegroom.
He did.
He said nothing about the bridegroom.
No, he did. He did because I didn't watch the clip. I couldn't bring myself to do it, and I'm off of him like I'm off of sugar. I still have to taste every now and then, but for the most part, I'm leaving it alone. I read the text of what he said. It had to have taken him the better part of 5 or 6 minutes. The last 2 sentences were, but congratulations on your beautiful day and your beautiful couple.
Right.
The rest of it was 5 minutes of Joe Biden stole the election.
I saw that.
Everybody's mean to me. If I was the bride, I don't know, because I've had brides in my life, man, and I'm telling you, you don't fuck with wedding day. That's all there is to it.
Did you get the picture I sent of your second wife?
Yes. And I want to tell you something.
Yes.
You got that wrong. All right. That was my third one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right. Let's get serious one more time and then have a little fun with something else. You want to talk about the George Floyd trial at all?
I mean, what's there to talk about?
If you were on the jury, based on what you know and based on what you've heard and based on what you've read, would you vote the cop guilty or not?
Guilty. He's guilty. Okay.
Good.
I think it was premeditated. He worked with a guy at the nightclub. I think they had a prior beef of some sort, of some level. I don't know how intense, but he's not going to do that. That was a personal attack on that guy. That wasn't a normal police takedown. Let the guy, once he's restrained, let him up.
I haven't followed it much except for just the basic headlines and enough to be able to talk intelligently about it if it came up. My feeling is the cop needs to be fried. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get the death penalty, but because they might call it manslaughter.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean. But
I know, but I've seen enough Law and Order episodes to know that's bullshit.
Yeah, but
as it should be. But
yeah, I don't know that he'll get the death penalty, but I don't think he's ever
one of the most telling things was some of the, and especially that one female paramedic who was called, and they wouldn't let her. And she said, she just sat there on the stand and cried. And she said, I would have been able to help him, and they wouldn't let me do it.
Right.
What I find, I was going to say interesting, but what I find repulsively interesting is the defense. And again, I haven't poured into this in detail. These are just little bullet points from things I've read. One of their defense presentations was some testimony by some guy who George Floyd gave a fake 20 to one time. And I'm thinking, and I've got an attorney in my family, and I try my best to be that person who uplifts and says, she's exceptional at what she does. And there are a lot of, just like when we talk about journalism and all journalists being idiots and all,
right.
That's generic and it's wrong. But if that's the best you got for a lawyer who's going to say, well, this black guy gave this store owner a fake $20 bill one time, so you can totally understand, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, why the cop would put his knee on the guy's neck until he was dead.
Yeah, no, that's. I do sometimes have a problem, and not with the trial, but I do sometimes have a problem with them painting him as a saint.
Well.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Inevitability.
It's always, it's not just George Floyd. That always disturbs me.
It should, but that's East German. Remember SEP's East German judge syndrome, or whatever I want to call it? Take all the high score off and the low score off. So take the extreme adulation, cooperation, congratulations off, and take the deep, dark, he's the Antichrist, etc. And once again, somewhere in the middle, that's where it falls.
He basically was a career criminal. No one deserves to die like he died. That's fucking disturbing as hell.
Yeah.
But he was a career criminal. I mean, just acknowledge that. Don't make him out to be a saint. And that's a lot of times that's what they're doing during the trial.
Well,
but that doesn't have any, this guy's guilty, clearly guilty.
If that's all and if it's kind of a commentary on the system as a whole, I think, not to get too deep, but that kind of defense, as it were, even has to be brought up.
Right.
The simple fact of the matter is the cop, the whole fucking thing is on tape. It's on video. There it is.
There it is.
And now the testimony of reputable first responders and other associated people around, calm, relatively normal people saying, stop this and let us help this guy. No, stay back, blah, blah. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Now, here's the $64,000 question. Make a prediction. You just said what you think it should be and how you feel about it. Do you think they're actually going to convict this cop?
Yes, they're going to, because they don't want the city destroyed. If they,
so much for justice.
If they bring him back, if they bring back a not guilty plea, all hell, you're going to have a civil war in that city.
And rightly so.
So, yeah, no, I agree.
He said
I agree.
singularly.
Yeah, I agree. He's guilty and he should be punished.
As far as justice also is concerned, and this is late breaking news for those who've been following the story, apparently they have busted a guy now who's on video is kicking the 65-year-old Asian American lady in the head. The one
I saw
was
that, yeah. Now, that motherfucker needs to be fried.
Well, apparently he had killed his own mother or something, so he was having issues of some kind.
He's got mommy issues.
But isn't it...
What's the reverse of the Oedipus complex?
I got nothing. I couldn't make the puss joke. I had my second COVID shot yesterday, and I'm still reeling. I said to Dave right before we turned on the microphones, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again, that, and I'm saying it as a humorous, self-deprecating thing on my own part. It's very, very, I speak on behalf of all other cynics, pessimists, and dissatisfaction enthusiasts like myself. It's an extremely, excruciatingly difficult time in American history to be cynical by nature anyway, and a dissatisfaction enthusiast, because I very literally every day struggle to find something to make me not want to be that way anymore, and I can't find it.
No. Scott, I was thinking about this morning. I actually think we are living in the worst time historically. There's always been racism. There's always been people disagreeing. There's always been reasons to not get along. But if you look at the 70s, you had Archie Bunker was a racist. George Jefferson was a racist. They were both loved by white and black people.
But they were fictional characters
Right, but
who represent. They were Randy Newman. You know what Randy Newman's thing is? Here's how you can tell the bright from the not bright. And gather a room full of people wearing red caps that say "Make America Great Again" and play them the Randy Newman song "Short People," and watch how many of them go ape shit, bat shit crazy at what offensive that is and has libtard shit and all the rest of that, never understanding, because they're incapable of understanding for a single second, that the song "Short People" by Randy Newman is Randy Newman's brilliant way of skewering people who make fun of people like that.
Right.
Not the people themselves.
But you're forgetting the social justice warriors are on the left.
Well,
they're the ones that would be offended.
Yeah, and that's not right in the sense of what should be fair and,
Right.
and leveling the playing field, but it's also a human physics thing. It's one equal and opposite forces. The harder the right goes one way, the harder the left goes the other way. It's I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah.
To the point of absolute distraction.
But right now, with all the social justice warriors, I mean, we can't ever just get along like we used to. I mean, all these things that are around today have always existed, but they're not politicized. They're not discussed ad nauseum on these fucking. And I struggle to call them news, CNN, Fox. I struggle to call them news stations.
They're not.
You know, they're opinion stations, and they're just used to inflammatory rhetoric to keep everybody at each other's throats.
No. Yeah, but that's not the end goal. That's the primary. That's the driving mechanism. The end goal is viewership,
Right.
which translates into dollars.
Well,
Money,
yes.
money changes everything.
Yeah, advertising.
It's
dollars,
money
yeah.
that matters. Randy Newman, once again.
Man,
It is. I mean,
he was a prophet.
that's all there is to it, and they're not going to give it up. And there's the problem. The problem at the core of the problem is to say, well, like we talk about, well, term limits would be a practical, easy solution to so much of it. It's not going to happen because those who need to enact that are going to end up having to sacrifice something for that, and fuck that
Right.
shit. Nobody sacrifices anything anymore.
Why can't we get a president in office that would do an executive order that would put term limits?
I don't know that you don't have one there right now.
No, he's
Time
not
will
going to.
you
Come
well,
on.
that's 4 years is a long time,
Yeah.
buddy. Wait
But-
and see. I'm not saying you will. And I'll tell you something about Joe that I've noticed already.
He can't climb stairs. Wait a minute.
Yeah, this coming from the podcast where one guy has plantar fasciitis and two legs that are in arthritic condition from the second COVID shot that I just took, and the second guy who's like almost 20 years younger who's got a fucking sprained ankle because he couldn't stand up while he was taking the dog.
So right now there's three people in this discussion that can't climb stairs.
That's exactly right. And again, I always asterisk this. Anything you hear me say about Joe is going to have the asterisk on it of wait and see. I'm not.
Right.
First of all, you know me. I don't do that. Oh, my, thank God he's our hero. He's going to make everything better. I'm way too fucking cynical for that. I'm waiting for it to fail, and I hope I'm wrong. But what I've seen so far, I see a guy who has, first of all, he has the tools. He has the experience. He knows where the levers and the buttons are. He knows how to strategize this stuff. And I catch underneath it all, and this is where all the noise and the smoke and the bullshit and the CNN and the Fox News and the Tucker screaming and the Matt Getz screaming and these guys screaming and everybody, the smoke and the noise and the fire and the rumble. And Joe reminds me right now, honest to God, and I'm not talking about in terms of his physical agility. I'm talking about the little turtle in the cartoon where there's all this commotion going around in 56, and you look down all of a sudden, you see this little turtle going, doo-doo, 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 and he's just moving forward. He got the COVID thing done, whatever it took, he's got it done, and it's his watch. There you go. The infrastructure package, have you seen what's going on there?
I've
Like
seen
$3 trillion to get it done, and he didn't have a press conference. They did everything they could do, but called Jill a raging fucking to get him to come out. He came out when he was damn good and ready because he's busy. I don't have time to fuck with all this stuff. But the plus factor is he didn't even, as some would, and you damn well know it, or most of them for that matter, would come out and say, I don't have time to fuck with that damn shit. just to get their name in the thing and the lights in the. No, he's just. That's why when you see me post things and I say, "Watch this guy, wait and see."
Right. Well, you know why I say what I say?
Because you're a good Republican kid from a Republican family, and you're honor bound to stand.
No. I do not think somebody who has been in politics 47 years is going to enact term limits.
Oh, if you're talking specifically about term limits.
No, that's what I was talking about specifically.
No, I know, but I'm talking about his generic approach to things.
No.
And I don't.
Well, you went off on that tangent. We were talking about term limits.
No, I was explaining to you that we've got somebody in that office now who can get things done in ways, well, that's a given. Okay.
He's screwing the pooch at the border.
Have we, well.
But, you know.
Again, anything he's doing and everything he's doing. And I'm happy, believe me, I'm delighted to this extent. I've got more to be able to say, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's see how this pans out. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way or be great, but I kind of like that. I like the fact that the only thing I have to fall back on isn't, well, at least he's not Donald fucking Trump. Okay, well, that's value added now. All right, you got a guy. Somebody posted yesterday, and I laughed. I started to share it, but I find myself resisting it now because I don't need to do it anymore for my own psychology. But he said, whatever number of days that Joe's been in, 62 or something like that.
Something like that.
62 days, not a golf round, not $1 spent on golf. Hey, he must be doing some shit. Now, does he goof off and take off time? Of course he does. But the point is, the grown-ups are back in charge.
Do you really think he could swing a golf club and not break a hip? Come on, Scott.
You know, Dave, love you like a brother, buddy, but I got to tell you, at some point we need to work on upgrading your material because Dave's going to be the resident Joe Stumbles guy, and you can always. And now it's time for this week's Joe Stumbling joke. All right, let's try this.
This is fun. It smells really good. It's so tasty too.
And you can't see the graphic card. The folks watching the vidcast can. It's a little thing we call We Recommend. And I purposely did this before. I've used it before. It just dovetails nicely. It's a picture of Joe going with thumbs up because Joe recommends whatever we recommend. I don't know whether you got anything you did have last weekend.
Yeah, I don't really have anything.
All right, that's cool. Well, I'm sure you've seen or possibly seen. Have you seen the Tina Turner doc?
Yes, yeah, I did see
We
that.
watched it this past weekend.
That was good.
It ain't Ozzy and Harriet, and it's 2 hours, and it's marvelously done, and a lot of contemporary interviews with her. She's 82 now, I think.
Looks great.
Yeah, I think the thing was recorded a couple of years ago, and they've been putting it together, but because she's in. In fact, it wasn't mentioned on the program per se, but she's been in ill health, cancer, heart issues, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think she expects that she's going to live a whole lot longer.
Right.
And I think this was her way of saying, but it's.
I think it was her goodbye.
Yeah, and she was, class act, and it's a classy presentation, and there's not a child molestation or Mia Farrow in the entire 2 hours.
I liked. I actually liked the fact that she did not want to come out with the abuse of Ike on her because she didn't want to be known for that. I like the fact that. And then when they were trying to grill her at the premiere of the movie, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Well,
and she's like, I don't want to talk about
this. Proves the point that we've been talking about, the fact that some of these things have been around since year one of day one. It's always about, if it bleeds, it leads. Give us the sensational. That's nice, but my listeners don't want to, my viewers don't care. But now let's talk about, and it's a natural gravitation. That's why reporters have been thought of as the scourge of the earth forever. But the skilled politician, for example, doesn't do what Donald tried to do. Yeah, is there a part of us, every one of us, who listens to the idiot journalists who come on with that shit and are constantly coming on that insults our intelligence, and we just want to bitch slap them? But you know what? You don't win that way.
Right.
You can't beat them that way. All you can do is out-strategize them. And the way to out-strategize them is to out-strategize.
Right.
All right. She's done that, at least to her own satisfaction. The point of it is, it's a lot of great music. It's a fully fleshed out story.
Right.
And it's a cautionary tale in terms of And it's addressed several times during. If you don't know the Tina Turner story with Ike and Tina Turner, look it up on the Google or watch the documentary. But she was married to this guy for 10 or 15 years, and they worked together. He quote unquote discovered her when she was just a kid, 16 or 17.
Named her too.
That's right. She was Anna Mae Bullock from Nutbush, Tennessee, and he beat her and abused her constantly throughout their marriage. And she finally, if you haven't seen. My wife has never seen the movie because my wife personally disdains any movie that doesn't have a happy ending. It's kind of a family ritual. When I say, hey, you should watch this movie, it's really good. Does it have a happy ending? No, honey, it's The Longest Day. I guess you could say it has a happy ending because, eventually the Allies do win. I said, but no, there's some death. Okay. Saving Private Ryan. He gets home, but Tom Hanks gets killed. Spoiler alert. So,
Yeah.
So I said, but the movie, one of the interviewees in the Tina Turner documentary, and they're limited, of course, Oprah has to be in it. And I feel the same way. I lived in Nashville in the 70s, and Oprah was just getting started in television. She was a weekend anchor / reporter for the local CBS TV station there in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Nice girl, did a good job, She went on to fame and fortune. God bless her. I don't think of her as any more of a valid opinion or a validator of things than I do many, 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 many people. And
what she's become? She's become Tucker Carlson, where her opinion is.
Yeah, she's a single word.
Yeah, she's a single word.
Tucker's not quite to the one word, like Charo, Cher, and Oprah, but but he's close. Although I used to do Tucker in the name game, and it's a long story. Let's do Tucker. Tucker, Bo Bucker, Banana Faniple. Anyway, Oprah's in it. But one of the interviewees, and there aren't that many, is the actress Angela Bassett.
Yes.
And my wife was kind of like, okay, because she's familiar with her. But I said, the reason that Angela Bassett is being one of the interviewees is I said that she played Tina Turner in the bio movie that was made back in the 90s called What's Love Got to Do with It? Lawrence Fishburne plays Ike Turner. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy movie to watch because the abuse.
It's very graphic.
But it's extremely well acted and well done and well put together. And it's very truthful. It parallels her book and the story of how it went. So if you're not hip to, and you don't want to spend hours inordinately digging into the story to find out what it was, the combination of the two, either first watch the movie and then watch the documentary, or watch the documentary and then watch the movie, and you'll have the whole Tina Turner story.
Yeah, I like the very end when they were asking, because Ike died in like 2012, I think, or something like that.
2007.
Oh, 2007.
And I only know that because my wife said, is he still alive? And I went, let me check.
But she acknowledged that basically there would be no Tina if it wasn't for Ike. Yeah, and she forgives. She's all about forgiveness.
Well, she became a Buddhist.
Yeah,
that's what got her out of. That's what she attributes her being able to free herself from that lifestyle.
Yeah. So I thought it was very uplifting, and she does a killer version of Help at the end of the movie.
You know what? Thank you. I said to
killer version.
I said to the wife, wow,
I had never heard that before.
I had never heard that either, and for me. Only because older, more insurance, heard every fucking Beatle cover and tune and et cetera in my entire life, and it was Tina.
It's one of the better ones that are out there, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite moving. And there is one thing I should warn you about, though. It's kind of a parental advisory. Just be aware that when you watch the documentary, and it's been widely known but kind of forgotten through the years, Tina, please don't be shocked or surprised when you find out, because she says it herself. They never ever do nothing nice and easy. They always do it nice and rough.
Yep, old Tina.
All right, check that out. Now, real quick, here's another recommendation, and I haven't even seen it yet. And I just learned about this morning when I was perusing through the old social media sites. American Masters, the PBS series, and it starts televising this particular episode this coming Friday night, and then will be repeated on various PBS stations across. They have put together.
Hemingway?
No.
Oh.
Doc Severinsen.
Oh, I saw that, but they're doing Hemingway too.
Okay, but I'm talking about Doc Severinsen. Yeah. If you don't know who he is, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a funny late-night show called The Tonight Show. Yeah, I know. Fallon's hilarious.
Fallon is not hilarious.
Fallon.
Carson was the man.
Fallon's a frat boy who got lucky.
Yeah.
The old fogies said with their swollen ankles and arthritic knees. Anyway, Doc Severinsen was the band leader.
Yeah.
And just watch I haven't even seen, I saw a minute and a half teaser preview online this morning. He's still alive. He's 91 or 92 now.
Right.
Still performing in some small venues.
You know what's really crazy? Carson made him a big part of the show.
Absolutely.
You know, and nowadays the only person that really made their band leader a big part of the show was Conan with Max Weinberg.
Yeah.
He would do the aside talks, because Letterman used to with Paul Schaefer.
Well, that was sure.
Yeah, but these other ones, you don't see them having that interaction with their band leaders like that, and I kind of miss that.
It's it's old school, and I've reached that point where I watch these programs. There isn't anybody doing late night television in the year 2021 that holds a candle to Carson, to be sure. But you've heard me say this. I don't know whether I've ever said it on the air or not. I'll tell you one talk show that just makes me wish that I was, for a lot of other reasons too, was not so much an American anymore as British. Graham Norton's show on BBC
He's awesome,
America.
yeah.
He's outstanding in a different kind of way than Carson, obviously, but watch it. Anyway, Doc Severinson's life, his work, I'm sure this is going to be one of those, that was really cool kind of documentary.
Who's the guy that did the documentary on country music?
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns is doing Hemingway. And that's on PBS. I think it starts April 2nd.
Yes,
as well.
he said. Ken Burns is doing Hemingway. My buttons are otherwise occupied now. Or I would use the pussy button, but I don't have any more. All I got is the rim shot. So there's that. But don't worry, Mom, because we're almost done. All right, what time is it? We got about 4 minutes or so. We can, if you want to beat this up a little bit. I just thought I'd throw this at you.
Sure.
Vaccine passports. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yay or nay?
Nay.
Because?
It's a HIPAA violation, number one.
Well, nobody pays any attention to that shit.
No, I mean, if I thought it would actually stop at a vaccine passport, I would be more open to it.
What? You're not going to go all Big Brother on me, are you?
Dude.
Well, then tell me what you mean when you say if you thought it would stop. What does that mean?
Well, suddenly all of your medical records are you have to show inoculations from birth.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say. Okay.
That's what I got a problem with.
Okay. And I would too. But here's my counter to that. Mm-hmm. And notice I used the word counter, and I did on purpose, not as opposed to argument, dissent, or disagreement.
Right.
I simply counter, like chess. I made a little chess movement. You couldn't see me, but I did. That argument has always bothered me about anything, because and it probably shouldn't, because here's where I get to employ common sense, and that's always a slippery slope these days. Well, it's gateway. What we're talking about is gateway.
Yes.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Well, if you smoke pot, you're going to go on to the heroin. No, you're not. Not necessarily. Well, if you legalize marijuana, people are automatically the gateway. One begats the other, begats the other, begats the other. Say, well, where does it stop? My answer to that at this cranky stage in my life is it fucking stops where we say it stops. And I'm not advocating for vaccine passports. I'm just talking about.
But that's what you just made my point. That's the politicians saying it stops where we say it stops. And I don't fucking trust politicians.
No, that may be what it is, but that's where we, the people, first of all, in every facet of everything now, mm-hmm. and in twisted measure, in large measure, thanks to Trump and Trumpism, it's time for we, the people, to stop being so stupidly cocky and strutty about being we, the people, and actually fucking be we, the people. When you said, well, the politicians are the we and they will, they need to not be the we. It's gotten forgotten somewhere along the way, and especially in the last 2 generations, and especially in the last 5 years, we don't work for these people.
Exactly.
They work for us.
Exactly.
They work for me. They work for you who are listening, unless you're a politician. And the good politicians know that, and the good leaders who want to help and do the right thing know that. But the rest of them, they've turned this in. We're going to do, if he pulls about one more fucking stunt, or even opens his mouth and catches me on the wrong day, here's my pledge to the listening audience. We're going to do a whole hour of me talking about what a fucking prick Ted Cruz is. and I will title the episode, What a Fucking Prick Ted Cruz Is. Who the fuck does Rafael Theodore Cruz think he is? I'll tell you who he thinks he is. He thinks he's a guy that American people work for. No, that's an example of.
He's a dick. I will stand behind you. I would stand behind you on that.
I love it when you stand behind.
But when I tell you this is what I don't like, and I'm going to have to bring your boy up, Pete Buttigieg. I got a problem with him this week. He came out and was talking. No, and
it's okay.
I like him. I like Pete Buttigieg.
You can have problems with the job they do or things.
I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed because he started floating a mileage tax, or he was calling it a vehicle miles traveled tax.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm like, look here, Junior. We're currently paying two taxes. We're paying a fuel tax for the roads. We are also paying tolls. Mm-hmm. That's two taxes. So they want to add a third tax. So here's one of these. You're pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining. We're only going to tax the people making $400,000 and above. What about somebody like me being a musician that has to drive a shit ton of miles? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to be taxed again on the mileage that I drive when I'm already paying tolls and fuel tax? Mm-hmm. That's pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining.
Okay.
I mean, do you agree?
Sure. I don't have any reason not to. First of all, yeah.
Yeah, so
there's a reason they call it, and I'm not defending, I'm just there's a reason they call it floating the idea and not enacting and signing the legislation. Sometimes they float them just to see what the reaction's going to be.
Well, there's my reaction.
Okay. I don't think for anybody who's not quite clear where Dave stands on this, just email us at webetheblab at I think it's gmail.com. All right.
But yeah, I had a problem with Pete today, and I like Pete. I like Pete.
I like him too. I think he's going to be president.
But that little motherfucker.
Let's do rim shots. All right. Meghan and Harry reportedly are going to go and do home birth with the second child due early in the summer. The private gathering is apparently going to be limited to Meghan, Harry, the baby, of course, Oprah, a camera operator, a light guy, a sound guy, and between contractions, brief moments of Meghan sharing how Grandpa Prince Charles is sweating out what the color of this one's going to be. Game of Thrones, very exciting, coming to Broadway. The audience in the first 6 rows, however, will be required to wear rain gear, but that's only a precaution to prevent ruining their evening clothes in a shower of dragon shit. Remember Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter?
Yes.
Crikey! His daughter, Bindi, is now all grown up. She's married, and she's having a baby, and very shortly, she may have already had it as we speak, and they're doing a documentary, imagine that, on Discovery Plus. She and her husband, it's called Crikey, It's a Baby. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell has finally been charged with something. Ghislaine has finally been charged with grooming a 14-year-old girl as a sex slave for Jeffrey Epstein. We understand that Discovery Plus has also got a documentary coming on that one. It's called Crikey, It's a Baby.
That took an awful long time to charge her with something, didn't it?
You know what? My wife said that. She said, well, what's she in jail for? I said, well, they busted her. Well, yeah, but you can't just keep people in jail for months and months without charging.
She's been in jail like 6 months.
I said, well, they must have charged her with, I don't know, illegal use of a blender or something. Anything they could do just to keep her there until they could figure out what they wanted to charge her with.
See, I'm on the same wavelength as your wife. And she's an attorney, so you need to listen to me, Scott, when I talk.
Yeah, like I listen to her. Ask her about that. And we mentioned poor Major. That's Biden's German Shepherd, one of the two. Major apparently nipped somebody else this week, but Dave has, this is good news. Dave told me right before we went on the air that Dave has set up a GoFundMe page to finance having Major sent to live with Nancy Pelosi.
I would feed Nancy Pelosi to Major.
It's never enough with you, is it? I give you the dog. I give you her. Take it to Pelosi. And this is the thanks I get. I'm telling you, let's do this. All right, I got a long-winded parting shot that I'm not going to use because we're running long on time, but what do you got?
Do you know who Damian Harmony is?
Damian Harmony?
Damian Harmony.
A gay weathercaster in Spokane, Washington?
It's a California high school teacher, and he basically has ruffled a lot of feathers in his school district because he's claiming that the parents that want the kids to go back to school, obviously because they're having a hard time with the online learning at home, and you've heard like all kinds of things, about how hard it is on parents trying to get the kids to learn. Mm-hmm. Those parents that want those kids to go back, he said, are white supremacists because they're rich, entitled pearl, what did he say? Pearl clutching. and I'm just like, he's a Latin teacher at John F. Kennedy High School, which, why is everything white supremacy? I asked for what aisle the Pringles were in the other day, and somebody said, what are you, a white supremacist? What the fuck is that about, Scott?
First of all, in the general category of what we're talking about, whenever I hear anything that remotely resembles any story like that, in my own twisted sensibilities, what pops into my head, and I'm going to have to reserve at least one button on here and figure out some way to do it, because it comes up every week in one form or another. The episode of the Andy Griffith Show, where Gomer is deputized and he's running across the town square to stop the guy who's doing the U-turn. Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest! It has to do with name calling. This is the new thing.
Right.
This is a new thing. And again, follow the money, follow the trail back. 6 years ago, it was considered refreshing and dynamic and funny that an announced and apparently going to be successful primary winning possible candidate for president of the United States was calling everybody names.
Yep.
He shoots from the hip. Well, this is what happens when you take corks out of bottles.
That basically was my red flag when he was running. The name calling was like, I'm like, this is immature bullshit.
Well, and now here we are. You take a cork out of a bottle, and this is what happens. The shit spews everywhere. So now it's, alternative truths. White supremacy.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing Gomer. White supremacy. White supremacy.
And also, dude, the other thing, I don't know if you saw this. Twitter told Newsweek, this was actually in Newsweek, that Ahmad al-Issa, the Colorado shooter that shot 10 people, they labeled, people were tweeting he was a white Christian terrorist. And you know how they fact check and always tag posts?
Yeah.
They said that didn't violate any kind of Twitter rules.
First of all,
even though he's from Syria and he's been identified as a Muslim.
Twitter rules. The term Twitter rules is an oxymoron. It's like good rap music.
Right.
Okay. It's an oxymoron.
Well, but they're quick to throw a Donald Trump off. They're quick to throw a conservative person off.
No.
But when you say this.
No. Any other name that you could have used just now, I would have said, no. Don't ever try, because I'll never let you get away with it. Don't ever try to conflate Donald Trump with anything. Donald Trump is an anomaly. Donald Trump is a mutation. Okay?
He's a symptom.
He's the symptom and the mutation that started or inflamed all of this to the point, and he's still doing it and still has every intention of continuing to do it. And that's why he needs to just die. And I say that with all the love that I can muster. And by way of wrapping it up, I'm not going to tell you the whole long thing. Dave Ramsey, the guy that does the financial show.
Yes.
Yeah, he has his own company. His company fires people for premarital sex or for non-marital sex. One of his employees went to HR to get some information on maternity leave, and in the course of casual conversation, it was determined that her partner, her male partner, it's a she and a he, they've been together for 10 or 12. They're like Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They've been together forever. Thank you. There you go. Yeah. And she's pregnant, and they're looking forward to it. She was looking for maternity leave information, and they fired her.
Wow.
Here's the reason why. The Human Resources Board said they weighed whether she violated one of Ramsey's 14 core values, righteous living. The company doesn't provide a list of rules to its employees about living righteously. Short version, we got to go. This is the Dark Ages, Old Testament, stick up the ass bullshit.
I agree.
This is not some fucking love after lockup slut banging somebody on the desk in the middle of a conference room with people all staring at it. This is a loving...
You leave John Condren out of this.
Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And he's considered... He's a vocal Trump supporter. He's a conservative. The article described him as conservative financial titan Dave Ramsey. You know what, Dave? Mind your own fucking business. How about that?
I didn't know Gordon Ramsay was that strict. That's
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Gordon Ramsay's the cook. Gordon Ramsay's just an asshole. Dave Ramsey's a conservative titan.
Who's an asshole?
That's right. Who's an asshole? Come to me. Be an asshole. All right. That's all we got. You got anything else?
I got nothing else.
All right. Well,
I'm angry today, but I got nothing else.
Good job. And then the swelling seems to have gone down. All right, wear the mask, get the shots, don't argue. And if people want to be vaccinated, okay, remember vaccine passports? I swear that sounds like a porn star I knew a long time ago.
Well,
a couple of movies.
The other thing is, dude,
starring
like someone like me that can't get the vaccine because of my allergies. What does that do?
Nothing. There should be exceptions to every rule.
Yeah,
Intelligent, articulate, common sense. Oh, I'm sorry, I used the C phrase again. All right, everybody be safe, and we'll see you next time on The Blab.
Why don't you mind your own business? Mind your own business. If you mind your own business, you'll stay busy all the time.
The Blab.